To the OA Sponsorship Success Marathon. Thank you for joining us. My name is Viviana, and I am your moderator for this Sponsorship Success segment on how to work the steps with a sponsee. I would like to introduce Pat, who is from Region 1. She will be qualifying and then sharing on this sponsorship topic. The speaker will also give 2 questions for discussion or future consideration at the end.
My name is Pat. I'm a compulsive overeater. I can qualify easily by looking at the promises backwards. That's page 83 in the Big Book. When I came into OA in April 2010, I was exactly the opposite of happy and free. A therapist I was seeing due to my depression asked me, "What do you like to do?" I replied, "That was a big problem. There was nothing I liked to do." I can't remember if I was honest with her and told her that the only thing I did do was eat. But that is the truth for me at that point in my life. I had spent years yo-yo dieting, losing weight just to see it come right back on. The periods of controlled eating got shorter and shorter. By the time I came to OA, I was sure I did not have another diet in me. I could not imagine how this could work, but I was desperate enough to try. Before OA, I was totally into regretting my past, my present, and my future looked bleak. Life was unbearable. All this with a loving and perplexed husband and a young daughter, and despite a move to Oregon, a dream come true for me. My husband would ask, "Why can't you be happy?" I had a million issues, but I never discussed the real one, compulsive eating. Despite my weight gain, an obvious clue, my husband had no idea I was so into the food. That's because he's a normal eater and he can't imagine my compulsion. Also, of course, I was a secret eater, never binging in front of my husband or daughter. I was in emotional turmoil and peace was an unattainable feeling. Guilt and shame were my BFFs. As you can imagine, I wasn't going down the scale. I was heading up to new, heretofore, never-before-seen heights. I was shocked when I clocked in at a weight over that of being 9 months pregnant. For some unfathomable reason, I thought that was a line my body, no matter how stuffed with unhealthy food, couldn't exceed. Wrong. I could zip right past that benchmark. I wallowed in uselessness and self-pity. I remember actually yelling at our sweet puppy one time, "All I am is a dog pooper scooper." That was a real low point. I was so not interested in you. You, on the other hand, should admire and like me, though I'm not really sure why. My vision was slanted to the dark. I saw no way out. Suicide was not an option because I really couldn't do that to my husband and daughter. I was always uncomfortable around people, sure you were judging me as I was judging you. Even though we lived comfortably, I was super conscious and worried about any spending. Money was a source of conflict in my marriage. Everything in life baffled me, even though I thought I was so smart. Little things could stump me, like how to untangle a vacuum hose. I actually hurt my arm by stubbornly pulling on it rather than walk down a few steps to free it. Answering the big questions in life, like what I needed to do to be happy, that was completely out of my reach. How to make and keep friends totally had me flummoxed. I felt so alone. Okay. Fast forward to my 7 years in program. Each and every promise has come true for me and in ways that were unimaginable to me. Higher power is doing this for me, and it's beyond my wildest dreams. At my home meetings, I became the one who would wave her hand like the earnest first grader who knows the answer, because I so wanted to get to read the promises at the close of our meeting. They are real and precious to me. Joyous, free, and becoming is how I live my life now. My weight is healthy, my food is fuel, and my life is full of exciting adventures and possibilities. I have genuine friends and do meaningful service. Apparently, once I took the drama out of my behavior, I became able to grow healthy and close family relationships. I have a life of happy usefulness, and it doesn't get better than that. Now on to the topic. What does working the 12 steps have to do with all that? Everything. My topic is working the steps with a sponsee. With the gift of desperation, I came through the doors of OA willing to follow directions. A wise member said at the conclusion of my tearful first meeting, when I asked, "Where do I go from here?" He said there was always the 4 words. And I thought, oh boy, he's going to lay it on me, the magic 4 words. He held up his fingers as he counted them out. 3 meals, no snacks, he declared. So I've done that ever since. And since I was desperate, I was willing to follow directions, so I got a sponsor right away. She was wonderful, and she had my number just like that. She had me read the steps from the OA 12 and 12 and complete the questions in the 12-step workbook of Overeaters Anonymous. Now, I love homework and anything that feels like school, so this was an approach that worked very well for me. My sponsor was aware that it was important to march through the steps, not lollygag, if you want to get to the part where the promises come true. We met weekly, face-to-face, for an hour. The focus of our time was always on the steps. I thought I would really enjoy step 4, for instance, because I love talking about myself. But using the questions posed in the OA 12 and 12 proved more daunting than I realized it would. My wise sponsor knew to set a deadline and assured me that whatever I did earnestly was fine. Auspiciously, we set the 4th of July for my 5th step. Let freedom ring. My sponsor's help was invaluable as we proceeded through 6 and 7, the amends list and actual amends of step 8 and 9. My sponsor suggested service, and she suggested I was ready to be a sponsor myself. Service interests me, so going to intergroup was a natural, but I was petrified about sponsoring. I felt so responsible. I hadn't yet absorbed the idea that it's not up to me. HP has this. So I did give it a try, but I had no lasting connection at first. Then I did connect, and now my sponsees are a loving, interesting, sometimes thrilling, and always steadying part of my life. I can't imagine life without them. Not surprisingly, I sponsor how I was sponsored. The 12 and 12 in the workbook, meeting face-to-face once a week. In the big book, page 89, it says, to watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish. This is an experience you must not miss. And that has come true for me. All right, so that's how I started out, but life has a way of bringing up new situations. It turns out that even this old dog can learn some new tricks. I have one sponsee who is long distance. She's an experienced OAer long in program. A friend of a friend put her in touch with me. I'm so glad she did. We talk weekly and email if needed also, and it works beautifully. I developed a routine that has helped me work well with others. I offer a job interview session when someone asks me to sponsor them. We meet face-to-face, and I ask them what they're looking for. I explain how I sponsor. We make sure we're on the same page as far as style and approach. I used to say I can't be a food sponsor, but over time that's changed. A sponsee asked me to help her while she focused on a weight loss food plan. We texted our food to each other every day, and it ended up being very beneficial for me. And I have that sponsee to thank. But always the emphasis on what we do is on the steps. I listen and learn from Lifeline, from shares, from workshops, retreats, our region convention, about working the steps. Then I bring new approaches into my sponsoring. There is so much creativity and love going around. I have tried some new things to refresh our step work. With one sponsee, we spent some quality time on steps 6 and 7, and that was great. For another, we often whip out 12-Stepping a Problem, a pocket card available from the OA bookstore, or a free download from the OA website. It's a useful technique for getting honest and unstuck. With another, we have together read the 12 and 12 paragraph by paragraph and write on it as we go. Actually, that is a thread that runs through all my sponsoring, a strong emphasis on writing. My sponsees have gotten used to hearing me say, "Have you written about it?" The other aspect of sponsoring that really benefits me is that I have to do any homework I assign to a sponsee. If I ask a sponsee to do it, I have to do it also. Needless to say, that keeps me working the steps. I now have longtime sponsees, so I was looking for a way to juice up our step work. A wonderful opportunity to do that came our way. We are conducting the 12-step study program from the new OA book, 12-step workshop and study guide. I asked one of my sponsees and my sponsor if they would help me offer it, and they agreed. I asked the rest of my sponsees if they would make the time commitment and attend. They did. We publicized it through our intergroup, and we got additional attendees. We're up to step 8 this week, and it's going fantastic. Very fruitful for me, for my sponsees, and really the whole group of participants. One idea that took hold in our group was sharing the worksheet-based Step 4 inventories that we had completed with someone new in the workshop rather than our sponsor. It has been interesting and helpful to branch out. It was helpful in increasing trust, and it has knit our group together in a stronger way, too. I'm a control freak, so I have to watch taking on responsibility for someone else's recovery. Keeping the emphasis on the steps helps me here. I have to avoid veering off into advice giving. Gone there, made amends for that. I have to remember that each person has their own HP, and it ain't me. I have to recognize I am only one facet of that person's recovery. I also have to see when our relationship is not moving that person along. If I run into a total block on working the steps with a sponsee, I can use that as a sign that this person may need to move on to another sponsor because what we're doing is not working for them. There are a plethora of useful ways to do step work. I find that writing is the heart of most of it. It doesn't matter how one writes, on a computer, with pen and paper, via voice recognition text. It's all good. I must admit that steps 10, 11, and 12, being the repeat loop, present a special challenge. One new way I'm trying is for a sponsee and I to text our 10th step to each other each evening. Keeping the discipline of tuning in to steps 10, 11, and 12 is important but hard for me and my sponsees too. Regardless of how you were sponsored or how you sponsor, I've come to a very freeing conclusion about all my OA work. I can't do it wrong if my intent is love and I am honest. Thank goodness for amends. The only way to fail as a sponsor is to not do it. If you are open and honest with your own sponsor, and most importantly, your HP, I think we cannot fail to recover and carry that recovery to others. Simple, but not easy. My first sponsor went into relapse after we reached about step 10. I was nervous because I was new and I didn't know what to do. What if relapse was catching? I cut and ran. I let my sponsor down. I was not there for her as she had been for me. I was able to revisit that relationship and make amends. I have resolved to stay a touch point and a friend to my original sponsor through thick and thin. I know her HP has this. I love her the way she always loved me. My current sponsor is the person who originally offered me the 4 words. Funny how that came around. I love his wry wisdom and the low-key attitude. It keeps me grounded. He's the grandpa sponsor to all my sponsees, and I love and use that backup. What an amazing world recovery in the steps creates. Love strings stretching out in all directions. I was reading the big book about working with others in preparation for this workshop. Working with others is the 12th step in action. Being a sponsor is part of working my 12th step, but I do question how to do more to carry the message. For instance, recently our intergroup came up with Bring Your Sponsee to Intergroup Night. The idea is to show our sponsees that service is a worthwhile and important part of giving back, which is the embodiment of Step 12. I am thinking I need to get more creative in carrying the message. After all, if I want to keep my recovery, it's abundantly clear that I have to give it away. As a sponsor, I need to challenge myself to continue my recovery work and ask my sponsees to look at what they're doing to move forward. There's no such thing as resting on our laurels. Being a sponsor means I get to stay in touch with all the steps all the time. Having sponsees at different stages of their work in the steps help me stay fresh and in the steps myself. The joy of sponsoring, quote, this is an experience you must not miss, unquote. So here's my questions from taking sponsees through the steps. How has going through the steps with a sponsee helped you as a sponsor? And as a sponsee, what approach did your sponsor take to working the steps that was especially helpful to you? Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Pat, for sharing. The opinion expressed here today are those of individual OA members and do not represent OA as a whole. Our 7th tradition. Please remember that we are self-supporting through own contributions. Please use a special workshop meeting number 82278 when making your contribution. The World Service Office needs our support to continue to serve our fellowship. Go to www.oa.org and click on Contributions. Thank you for helping us carry the message.